I'm Katie Slade, author of The Victorious Vagina, How to Beat a Player at His Game and Win at Self-Love. Welcome to my channel and thank you so much for being here today. The purpose of my show is really to bring to light the importance of self-love that we need to bestow upon ourselves as women. It is something that is being so ignored today. And instead of really embracing the self-love, the self-respect, and the self-worth, I see women going in absolutely the opposite direction. And today's show is focusing, once again, very sadly, on domestic violence. And as you've seen from the title of the show, this is regarding the current situation that KeKe Palmer is facing. I first want to say that I am in such a state of sadness for KeKe and her family and her very, very young son. I am keeping them in my prayers and I wish only the best for them in the outcome of all of this. Unfortunately, this is a situation where once again, a woman has been given real red flags about who a man is and has chosen to ignore them. And it's just such an unfortunate situation because they don't see how detrimental their choice is until certain actions take place. Now, this case was brought to my attention by a very dear friend of mine. And also, I want to say, before I mention her, this topic was focused on over the weekend by Queen Sheba Darling here on YouTube. And she did a fantastic job at presenting all of the details, the evidence, and the outpouring of sympathy that so many people are expressing for KeKe Palmer and her family at this time. My girlfriend, Tindu Menninger, had mentioned to me a while ago, several months ago, when I was talking to her about creating my YouTube channel and what I really hoped to create for women and to provide. And when I was talking to her about the various topics that I plan to focus on, she mentioned this as an example of a relationship that really had glaring red flags that was in all probability not going to bode well for any of the parties involved. And that was primarily because she was aware that KeKe had picked up with Darius Jackson and that she had been warned by some very key people in the entertainment industry about not allowing certain men into her circle. Now, at this point, I am going to share a piece and give credit to Paris Milan, who is breaking down some of the background details around KeKe's thought process and her decisions to get involved with Darius Jackson, even after he showed some signs of really having major insecurities and issues. So let's take a listen.
It said Palmer claimed that she has security footage of a November 5th incident in which Jackson trespassed into her home without her knowledge or consent and threatened her before lunging for her neck, striking her, and throwing her over the couch and stealing her phone. She went on to allege that there have been many instances of physical violence with Jackson that include destroying my personal property, including diaries and prescription eyeglasses, throwing my belongings into the street, throwing my car keys to prevent me from driving away, hitting me in front of our son, spewing profanities about me to our son. Oh my goodness. Threatening to take himself out with a gun if I left him, harassment, and other physical and emotional abuse. This is what KeKe is saying. It says in her declaration, Palmer said that her relationship with Jackson finally ended for good in early October, primarily due to the physical and emotional abuse inflicted on her by him. It says Palmer's filing comes after months of speculation about her and Jackson's relationship status, following his comments about Palmer's attire at an Usher concert, blah, blah, blah. What y'all need to understand, and this is a conditioning that a lot of Black women have, is y'all believe that the less a man makes, the more he loves you, when it's actually the reverse. The less money he makes, the more that he hates you, because he resents the fact that he cannot compete with other men. And that is how men compete with other men, is monetarily. So he can't compete with other men, which means he can't really gain an access to the caliber of women he actually wants. So he hates you for it. Now, KeKe Palmer has been adamant about this before, loving a man beyond how much he make, the Tyler Perry mentality a lot of black women have been brainwashed into believing. But what Tyler Perry and others ain't gonna tell you is that dust bag that be in that house be filled with rage, and that rage that be pent up will turn to violence. Now, let me be clear too. That's not to say that if a man makes money, that he's not going to try it as well. Like, it is in men's nature in general to be violent when they feel like, they ain't got no control, when they're feeling X, Y, and Z way. However, it's even worse when they don't have no money. It's even worse when he has to wake up every single day and seeing you on Instagram going viral. You're in this movie, that movie, you're making this move, that move, and he's not doing it. And it's like, y'all right, Steve tried to tell her, tried to show her different men. KeKe didn't want.
Okay, we're going to come back to some more footage from Paris in a minute, but some of the things that to me are really, really concerning about KeKe's actions are just, the whole idea that she was really given some very significant heads up about how she needed to recognize where she has arrived as a woman in the entertainment industry, as a very successful woman. And, like my grandmother used to say, you lay down with dogs, you wake up with fleas. This is a situation that so constantly, as Paris indicated, women will do. They think that it's okay to be yoked with a man that is not of their league, their caliber. And it's something that I mentioned time and time again. And it's funny because Queen Sheba also mentioned this in her report on Saturday night about the fact that it's quite obvious that these two were not evenly yoked. Now, in terms of the level of security or lack thereof that escalated, I don't understand why, with KeKe having known firsthand of so many threats and meltdowns and obvious signs of emotional instability as well as physical violence towards her, did she not end this before getting pregnant? Her mother is shown calling Darius's brother about the physical abuse that she was aware that was taking place a year into their relationship. This is unfortunately what baffles me. I don't understand when these extreme signs of violence are evident early in the relationship, why women not only stay, but end up getting pregnant. I mean, is it so much a situation to have a child? I mean, it is such a crucial thing, and now her life is changed forever. And I'm going to share another portion of this right now, which I am going to make comment on that Paris Milan had to say as far as Darius Jackson impregnating KeKe Parker. So let's take a listen here.
The argument that people kept talking about, oh, her clothes, it was never about her clothes. Any man that will publicly embarrass you, like I told y'all, will privately put his hands on you. It was never about what she wore. He has been showing off her body. He been knew that KeKe is a very big personality. She dresses to the nines. He already knew how KeKe was. But being that he saw her with Usher, who's coined up, and he's not, he let that rage take over. And this is why it's also equally dangerous. I keep telling y'all, we as Black women, and I'm talking to us because I see us doing this in particular, we date too visually. And that's what something KeKe talked about too. Oh, I saw him, I thought he was fine, so I started talking to him. Him being fine, him being light, or whatever the criteria was, tells you nothing about his character. It tells you nothing about his temperament. It tells you nothing about the respect he has for women. It does not display anything. And the fact that he got her pregnant out of wedlock, knowing that she is a actress with a long-standing career, and he did that irrespective of how that could make her brand look. And KeKe got on SNL, and I just will never forget that. I cringe thinking about it. But knowing how reckless this raggedy piece of garbage was, with her physically, with her career, and we're still talking about, oh, well, love them past their money. F that. It's going to do you dirty like this. These mother effers need to pay for it with their freedom and with their pockets. And I'm hoping, because, you know, she's going through this custody battle now, she better pray to goodness that she don't have to spend no money on him and have to pay him child support, because that's what could happen as well. If they do the calculations and see, well, he's not making this, well, he's not doing that, well, he's not, and then she has to turn around and pay her abuser child support. No, I hope that doesn't happen. And I'm not saying that KeKe deserved this at all. No woman.
Okay, so I'm sorry, my eyes tearing terribly. Again, hear this whole situation in terms of appropriateness. Now, I by no means condone Darius's behavior at all. The man obviously has mental problems going on and needs serious help. However, I personally disagree with the fact that KeKe felt that she could go out with her girlfriends to a club and dress the way that she did. Now, I know that there were people that had comments about this when Darius was making public posts about her being there with Usher and so on. And in this instance, I have to say that I agree with Darius. She's a new mom, and I'm not saying that she couldn't go out and have a good time with her girlfriends, but I think that her dress was inappropriate. Let's just look at it from another perspective, okay? Let's say that he was the one that had gone out with a bunch of his guy friends with a sexy shirt open down to his navel, with skin-tight pants on, showing off all of his manliness, leaving his girlfriend and newborn child at home alone while he had this night of clubbing and partying. Does it seem to give credence now to what he had to say and feel about the situation when the shoe was put on the other foot? Because I have to say, I believe that many women would have a problem seeing their guy in a reversed situation, the way that KeKe Palmer was interacting with Usher, and again, what she chose to wear. That was a very public display. And so I'm sorry, I disagree with a lot of what has been said about her clothing not being a factor. And of course, it's even more of a factor for a man that is as insecure and has as many mental issues that Darius Jackson is showing at this time. I want to just further focus on a couple of other items regarding this that I just feel are just so important for women to really think about when they decide to get involved in situations like this. I mean, number one, ignoring the red flags, but again, going back to the security issues. KeKe, I'm sure, has enough of a stable economic situation to get herself set up with some very significant security, which is going to be absolutely necessary from here on out. The other thing that I just say in terms of so much of what has happened is that when in trying to think about sharing with other women how they want to avoid getting into these really dangerous situations. If you're going to go out and have relations with these guys, just don't get pregnant. I mean, think about the DNA that is in his system. That's going to be part of your child's makeup as well. And so you're already creating a huge disadvantage if you see red flags like severely violent tendencies, whether they be absolutely physical or mental. And I've been there. I have been in 2 relationships where these men were very, very verbally abusive to the point where I really felt for my safety. So I don't say this as someone who has not been involved and at the hands of domestic violence situations. And the other thing that I would say is that I feel that it is really crucial that women look at the fact that fatherless homes are one of the number 1 problems leading to child development. Children in fatherless homes, and I was one, tend to get into trouble searching for love as young women through boyfriends and in the wrong situations. Young guys growing up in fatherless homes tend to get involved in drugs and criminal activity. These are things that have come up time and time again. And one of my favorite people on YouTube is Officer Tatum, and he talks about this on a regular basis. Women, we have got to understand that it is necessary for a man to be in the household. One of the other things that came out recently was there was an interview with a convicted pedophile, and he was asked how he picks his victims. And his primary target, fatherless homes or homes where fathers are not very present. So this is something else that, again, I implore women to think about as they get involved in these situations. In closing, I'm just going to say again, I hope that KeKe, this reaches KeKe, major security, and develop and surround yourself with excellent role models for your son. Men that can be there in a supportive and brotherly fashion for you, and again, as a strong role model for your son. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate your listening to all that I had to share. And again, please understand that this comes from a place of real love for women, not any judgment whatsoever. I just hope that in all that is being revealed in KeKe Palmer's case, that women learn to really analyze and make better decisions. And again, take the time, check out The Victorious Vagina, How to Beat a Player at His Game and Win at Self-Love. You will find some really valuable tips about thinking about yourself first, self-respect, self-love, self-worth. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm Katie Slade. Take care.